Hello, welcome to Follow Everton. I'm Ryan, I'm here with Steve. We're just leaving Goodison Park. We move away from the crowd space.
Just passing the Watford coaches.
Just left the ground, and I have to say that is possibly the worst result at home for Everton in at least, I'd say, what would you say?
At least 10 minutes.
No, in all seriousness, it's one of the worst performances I've seen.
In the last 3 years.
We made Josh King look like prime Ronaldo, and never laid a glove on him, never got to grips with him the whole game. Far too easy. And we played without a midfield, I think, for the best part of the game. Steve?
Well, this was just a hard defeat because Everton got themselves into a winning position at 2-1. And Richarlison's heading goal, especially with him coming on the pitch, it felt like he was a bit of a saviour and that he was going to start turning things around for us offensively. But the defence just capitulated. 30 minutes of just sheer embarrassment. I've never come out the ground feeling so discombobulated by the defence. I mean, Pickford made 2 other saves. This
It could have been 7 or 8 goals conceded, really, in fairness, because Pickford saved from Josh King very close out. Great save actually from Pickford. So there was other opportunities, a plethora of free headers, chance after chance. For me, it was the midfield was way below par, and it had left the defence exposed. And you've got Michael Keane, who's got no pace and can't defend 1v1. And Godfrey, his recovery pace helped him on a few occasions, but most of the time he was second best to everything. Dean getting beaten so easily every time on the flank by Sarr. And Seamus was the best of the 4 defenders, but even he was really struggling. And I think it just proves again today. I know Tom got his goal, but what does he offer Everton? I mean, there's nothing there football-wise. You know, no physicality. He doesn't protect the defence. Doesn't win the second balls. Got no pace. An absolute liability in there. But Allen was extremely poor as well. He brings Iwobi on 88 minutes. What did you make of that decision?
I actually thought Allen was one of the better players today, covering a lot of defensive mistakes. It could have been more. Iwobi coming on for Gray. Obviously, Gray had run. You know, he's run himself ragged through the game. It was 80 minutes. We were in a half-decent position at the point when Iwobi came on. But there were boos in the ground when that happened. Let's see what John has to say.
I'm bringing John in now. John, give me your reaction, please.
Diabolical. We're supposed to be a team that's challenging for things, and Watford's supposedly a small club, and we didn't deserve to be anywhere. The defence was shocking. It was nowhere. They were just completely switched off. Fuming.
David, I've also got David here. David, Josh King, 3 goals, couldn't cut it in an Everton shirt, hadn't scored in 29 appearances for Everton and Bournemouth, but 3 today could have been 5 goals. What do you make of Josh King?
Well,
unplayable?
Was it Josh King or was it Keane and Godfrey? I don't know. Josh King seemed to be everywhere. He was sharp, he was on top of them, he won every header, he nicked in. But our defence just couldn't deal with the balls. They just didn't clear them away. And when you don't do that and you've got no midfield helping you, then you just get exposed. And that's what happened with the 3rd, 4th and 5th goals.
Yeah, it did look like a FIFA game. And Everton have never lost to Watford before in Premier League history. This is the first defeat ever for Everton at home to Watford. It's a really sinking feeling, isn't it? Very depressing.
Especially when you pay so much and the club means so much to you, to just witness that with everyone being so annoyed at the performances. It's very poor.
Steve, you've travelled from London, you expected better, you thought it would be a routine home win, but Rafa Benitez, now he's under pressure with 2 home defeats in a row. It's quite possible if this continues, he'll be hounded out very quickly.
Well, there's still, I mean, it's only 2 defeats, but they're back-to-back home defeats in the space of 6 days. You know, there's a lot of fans from Watford that have made, you know, a similar sort of journey, and they've seen their team, who just got battered 5-0 at home against the Red side over there. They've seen them, and they go away to Goodison and win almost as if It's turned into almost a Christmas pantomime at the end here for Everton, and it's just a joke.
John, run me through the game from the start. Tell me about the first goal. Tom Davies scores really quickly.
Yeah,
he scored
we've
too
done well.
soon. You get really positive there at that point.
Yeah, we do, but it's good because then you hear the fans start communicating, singing songs, and it's good because we get an atmosphere going. And then in the second half, in the first half, we didn't really do much else.
Didn't capitalise on that
we
early
didn't.
goal.
We wasted our chance. And then in the second half, Richarlison, great header, very good goal. And then from there, again, we were just nowhere. The defenders are just switched off with their heads up their arses. They're not looking at where the ball's going. They're moving the ball well, but we should be able to stop it and stay as a unit. We just absolutely collapse. No one's winning any second ball. It's all loose. The passes are not being put together. Instead of switching the play and moving it around, we're just passing it backwards. And you can tell that everyone's getting very frustrated by it. And then to concede from our own kickoff as well, the whole thing just collapsed towards the end. It
was almost like Roberto Martinez's games. David, just bringing you in now. Do you think it was a bad decision to bring Anthony Gordon off, who was the better of the players there, and change the formation to a 4-4-2, leaving Davis kind of very exposed with Alan in that midfield?
Well, there was a lot of boos, wasn't there, when that substitution happened? I mean, personally, I didn't think Rondon had a good game again, really. But if you don't leave a focal point or a presence up there, then, what's Richarlison got to play off? Is he going to play off Gray? Because he's not going to win the balls. And by taking off Gordon, he releases Gray to play out on the wing, which is where he's better.
I do agree with that. It's a fair comment, isn't it? Gray is better at wide, where he can deliver the ball in, but
I actually disagree with David slightly. I would say that Rondon had a better game compared to West Ham because he's actually trying to win some of the balls, but he's still way too off the pace and off the mark of where he needs to be. Instead of trying to win the ball and trying to get into the box and deliver it, he's trying to look for the foul or trying to go down. And it's not what we need. We need to go forward and use pace and strength and try and get in. And we keep playing the ball out wide, whereas we need to actually play a more direct approach. Charge them with pace. We're moving too slowly on and off the ball, and it's costing us dearly.
Steve, Rondon didn't score again. That's 6 or 7 games now. He's just it's almost like he can play for a year and he wouldn't score.
I don't think Rafa had any choice today. I think he needed to start with Rondon and bring on Richarlison. He did the right thing. Remember, we were in a winning position for a lot of this match. We scored early, maybe too early, but we didn't capitalise. But we were 2-1 up. We should have shot. We went up for a corner. We could have gone 3-1. It would have been the end of the game. And it all just went to pot when really Watford equalised. I think it was a shock to the system how easy it was for them to find the equaliser.
The goals were far too easy.
There were other chances. I mean, it really was a catalogue of chances. And I think just bad went to worse. And we've seen this before where Everton, they're still in the game at 3-2. All right, it's not comfortable. No one likes it. But there's no reason why it needs to finish 5-2. We should have put up a better fight towards the end. And it almost looked like we'd lost our fight. And that's what's so disheartening to walk out of the ground. There was nearly 39,000 in the ground today. And a lot of people going home bitterly disappointed. It's a good job it's half term, because I think a lot of kids going to school having watched that would not have a lot to say to their Liverpool counterparts.
David, where do we go from here, though, ahead of the game at Wolves? Is there a lot of work to be done?
I don't know what we can do because, we might get Andre Gomez back. I mean, it's probably our best option, really. But if we can get Andre Gomez back in the side, I think we might get a bit more control of the midfield. It should be a start, but Richarlison gets some minutes under his belt, so he could be starting the game next week. But it's not looking great. Let's hope Mina is back in that defence, because without him, the last 2 games, it's looked shambolic.
If you think about it, Mina, Decore, Richarlison, Dominic Calvert-Lewin, it's the spine of the team.
Yeah, but it's irrelevant that we don't have them. Our team should still be good enough to beat Watford. Watford are not a big enough club that they should be beating us, never mind 5-2. And I think it's a whole attitude problem for our players as well. Because whenever they're on the counter, you see all our players, and they're still up top towards our goal-scoring end. They don't come back. They're not trying. And then they use their pace, which are beating us. And then they get through our team. And we should be defending that much, much better. But we just don't have any back line at all. And they just run through us and tear us to shreds.
Do you think the fact that they lost 5-0 last week meant that they had nothing to lose and that they went in maybe with
an attitude that Everton couldn't have because we lost last week?
I think we have a very poor mentality, especially when we start losing, and that it's very quick to go wrong. I mean, we've gone from 2-1 up. Yeah, we've conceded and gone 2-2. And yet we've gone 3-2 from 2 quick goals. But we should be able to counter that and move forward and use that as a momentum to build forward instead of getting absolutely destroyed.
It's these home games where you're expected to win. We just don't look up for it in terms of the crowd.
The crowd are
just
very,
sitting there,
very
How did you see us turn in the corner, David, from here?
It's hard to be positive, though, when you're winning and then you've got absolutely battered from 5-2. It looked like we were going to control the game and
We were
win
in
it.
cruise control. I mean, just talking about that set piece for Everton, he brings a Wobie on, and you can see Townsend looks like he's really struggling in there. He's kind of in that area where the ball comes into, and there's no... It's obviously zonal marking, so they can't go man for man. And Watford had, 5 or 6 minimum 6-footers. We had a tiny midfield with Gray. Obviously, he'd gone off, but the Iwobi, Alan Davis, Townsend, that's a very small midfield. And even the defence, only Godfrey's barely 6 foot, and it's only Michael Keane who's the other 6-footer in there. Goalkeeper small, so we looked extremely vulnerable. It was like they were queuing up to score.
They were all counter-attacking goals, though, Ryan.
That was when we were chasing the game, though.
No, but the actual critical goals were the first one, which was a needless free kick given away, where he's right in the corner, no need, let it just contain him. Gives away the free kick, then it's 1-0. And that one to go 2-2-all. They're queuing up because, as Ryan said, we've only got Michael Keane who can head a ball, and he's zonally marking the centre. What about the rest of the areas? We can't mark them.
A way to change it, we need to win the second ball, because the ball goes up in the air and then no one is moving towards it and trying to win it back. So they control possession in the midfield.
Is that obviously Decore missing in there?
I think that's a
We
huge
completely
aspect.
lost all the second balls. We had no protection for the central defenders.
But we've been in a winning position twice, so we should still be able to control it. And the defenders and midfielders have just switched off. We haven't got anything moving forward, and we can't do anything in defence because no one's actually got their head out their arse trying to look for the ball, and it's a shambles.
We lost most of the second balls last week against West Ham, so I'm gonna give them a bit of slack there and say it's not just Decore's absence. It's not a responsibility to lose every second ball.
No,
It's a team thing, and the team were nowhere near what.
but we've got a £25 million midfielder, Jean-Philippe Cabamin, on the bench, who can't get in there and provide a bit of security to see the game out when we didn't have a lot of possession. We let Watford have a lot of the ball. We didn't get tight enough to them. Obviously, the goals have got to be taken in the context that it was counter-attacks when we were completely exposed. But the overall performance, even at 2-1, you'd say Watford arguably were the better team.
Yeah,
And
they were, but we've shut off way too early, and we're letting all the balls get past us, and then we're not getting back on top of that. So we're left very exposed, and then from there you can't do anything.
It's the massive loss of Decore, and even Yerry Mina.
Pick out one player, even if we had Garner Gate in this game.
Steve, we can't hear you on that side. I'm really sorry. I'm going to come to the comments. Jason Drury says, "Hi, do we have to follow Everton?" No, you don't. Lee Hill, pure crap. King making love. Okay. I mean, he's shown us up today. Dave Weston, hi Dave, he's saying disgraceful. Josh King is not good enough for us, but 1,000,000% upgrade on Rondon. I completely agree. I mean, absolutely horrendous that Josh King, who we got rid of, replaced him with Solomon Rondon, and he's scoring 3 at Goodison today for an away team.
I don't think you had a chance when you played for us, Ryan.
Neil Logan, hi Neil, he's saying we could go down. Pure shit. Steve Chapman, he's saying absolutely disappointed. Rondon is a fraud. Fair enough. Malcolm Wayne is saying boo. Yeah, I think that was the sentiments. I mean, most people had left by the end of most people had left well before. Gary Ebden saying FFS utter shite. I completely agree, Gary. SJ. Right. Okay, mate. Go and get a life, mate. You stupid knobhead. Cop heights. Trying to hijack it. Yeah. Just for 5 more minutes, guys, before we head off. We're in the car now. You just taking the thing, or?
No, especially against Watford, we need to be dominating, and it's a chance to show that we're much better than they are in the competition. If we want to win something, go either a cup or try and get into Europa League football, then we need to be playing so much better than that. And we've just switched off. And if we're going to be playing again, and when I'm so shocked that I can't even speak. But
it's up there, isn't it? With one of the worst home performances in the last 10 years.
Yeah, and David and I were just saying that the reason why there were only people left at the end was probably to boo. It was such a diabolical performance.
Yeah, well summed up, John. I mean, a lot of people wanted to leave, and really the only reason why we stayed was to voice our frustration.
Disapproval, yeah.
But I don't think that would be enough. I think Rafa knows that there's work to be done. There's a whole series of problems here, but it boils down to the fact that we played a winnable home game and conceded 5 goals. And when that's the case, you can't look at the problems up front. You've got to look at the fact that the defence were in disarray. There just seemed no organisation. Once we went 3-2 down, it just seemed to get worse and worse.
It was those fullbacks bombing on there. We had to sacrifice Coleman and Dean. Obviously have pushed forward to try and get us back into the game, but Michael Keane can't defend 1v1, and they just had the extra energy in that midfield to try and be that extra man who needed for that extra pass just to find us, just to get through on goal and expose us. You know, Pickford was livid because he pulled off at least 2 or 3 saves, which I thought kept us in the game, even quite late.
And it's ironic, isn't it? Pickford actually didn't have his worst game by any standards.
Distribution
Made a couple of good saves.
Distribution
made some
was
good reaction
atrocious.
saves to keep us in the game.
No, you're right. I mean, there was a chance, I think it was at 1-1 or possibly 2-1 up, where Pickford basically saved a certain goal. It was almost a tap-in.
Yeah, it was a tap-in.
So,
I mean, if you're putting it down to that, you'd say Pickford, you know, it's his job to keep the ball out the net, and Keane, it's his job to defend the game. And, you know, Keane gets the assist and Pickford's distribution was poor. But at the end of the day, that's not their jobs.
Our defending with set pieces as well was very, very poor, and we've conceded 2 from that. And then the other goals, we've conceded the same counter-attacking goals. So we're committing too many people forward, and then they're not getting back in time. If you're going to have people go forward, they need to be able to get back. And I think, again, we've missed Disarray with that because he is all over the place going forward and back, and he's a massive credit to the team. But we're not getting people back. Everyone's standing there like, oh, missed chance. But then you actually need to forget that and get back and help defend. And we conceded 3 counter goals.
I noticed that Townsend was one of them who was going, you know, was chasing back for one of the Watford chances, and he hit it wide, the Watford player, and he's just putting his arms up as if to say, you know, I can't get back and be there for the counter attack. And I think there's a risk and reward there. Obviously, they've had to commit people forward because it was 3-2 with a few minutes left at home. But even then, you're thinking, how's it getting to 5-2? And I know there's probably 50 odd people watching. The comment there from Andy, hi Andy, saying you've not done well not to lose your temper. Well, yeah, I mean, obviously we delayed the reaction 10 minutes from the end of the game because we were absolutely, you know, livid. Steve, can you read out the other comments?
Yeah, Dave Weston here says, weak midfield, don't win games, and at the minute we probably have one of the weakest. I can't disagree with that comment. We do need to strengthen up. I was actually thinking while we were probably 2-2 for the moments about who we needed to bring in and what we needed to do to strengthen up this team.
They've got Gbamin on the bench, who's like a 6'2" athletic midfielder with pace and strength, who defends
and
gets forward
that we need.
And I would have brought him on for Tom Davis, who was getting nowhere near anything.
Good comment from Rishan. He says, why do most Everton players are so lazy? We never win second balls, never even try most of the time. And he's so spot on. I mean, that's where it all starts. You can win a game even if you've got second-rate players, if they try and battle, as we've seen in past performances, especially in the 90s when Everton sides weren't that great, and they would still dig out a win or a draw. And this sort of side, there's just no bite.
We probably don't.
Balls,
we shouldn't have to shut up shop, though. We shouldn't even have to try and shut up shop at 2-1.
We should be
going,
you know
what
and
I
getting
mean?
a third, never mind defending and sitting on the back foot, and that's where we get exposed.
Elia says, King with a vengeance. I bet he won't score a goal the rest of the season. I mean, I can't think, guys, of a chance that King had, maybe one or two chances.
No, he did nearly score for us a few times.
Mm.
I mean, there's a comment there, Jonathan, saying Everton crying, but let's be real. If you're a Watford fan, you're probably going down this season. You're going down, so enjoy your game, enjoy your result. But
well, that makes it even
you
worse.
probably go down
for us. I mean, is there an element here, guys, of our expectations just being too high? You know, obviously we really could have picked up some decent points in the last 2 games at home, back-to-back games in the space of 6 days. We started the season so well, and if we'd picked up
the ref.
4 points.
Yeah,
Oh,
the ref made
ref.
some incredibly poor decisions. Few penalty shouts, balls going the wrong way. You might have seen it. You know when was that a corner?
No,
it wasn't.
Time and time again,
Oh,
he
the
gave
one
us
for Everton.
absolutely
We should
nothing.
have had a corner
Yeah.
if
He
we
gave
got
us
to-
absolutely
we
nothing.
can't blame the ref entirely. Yes, if we'd lost, if it had been 2-2, we probably would have had something to say about the ref here and there. We lost 5-2. We need some perspective. It's not just the referee, and I think even the Watford fans were singing that.
No, but if you're basing it on the context of it getting to 3-2 being normal, you know, the referee at that point he was giving us absolutely
There was
nothing.
a definite corner. Then there was a penalty where Gordon went down, and
looked
it
soft,
wasn't
it didn't
really a
look like
penalty
pen.
in anyone. I mean, I didn't even.
Alan got
feel-
booked for Derby. Let's let John and David take over the rest of the video now from the back. Go through any comments,
What do you think,
etc.
John, about the set piece problem? Because that's 3 goals in 2 matches.
I think again it's just switching off. We're not marking the players. We're not staying close enough, and we're giving them too much space to be able to control the ball. Yeah, I think we have such an issue with staying on them, and I think our players need to actually look up and watch the ball, because if we're not doing that, we're not winning the second ball in the midfield. So let's say the ball takes a deflection and it goes up in the air, we're still faffing about on the floor or trying to get up. Meanwhile, the players from Watford are getting forward and winning the second ball, and then they can counter and control, because we're still too busy like seeing, oh, where's the ball gone, and we're not actually watching the play.
Disaster. Let's have a look what else.
Everton season over in October again. Yeah, absolutely. If we can't beat the likes of Watford, how are we ever going to beat the likes of the top 6 who we actually want to challenge and try and beat?
How have we gone from that then from Man United 1-1 and looking like we should have beaten them to struggling at really dominated against West Ham, even with Disarray, and failing to take the chances, and then this Watford defeat now, which even if you said we lost 3-2 is an
like
embarrassment,
watching two
really.
different teams. The team we had against United were working as a unit and a
The
team,
worst team, wasn't
whereas
it?
now we're watching 11 individuals, not one
They
team.
were fighting to get a point or 3 points even.
Yeah,
Today we didn't look like we wanted to win the game. Really, there was no fight.
yeah, no battle. Major pain. I'm not too worried. This season for me is working out the kinks. Going to be hard next 2 months, but I'm still not worried about us up the toffees. Yeah, it's difficult. Obviously, we've got a new manager come in, but he's a skilled manager. He should know what he's doing. I think the option to bring Gordon off and not take Rondon off was poor. Rondon is not doing anything for us.
He was
And I
better
think
with
Gordon had a
Richarlison
game.
on.
It maybe gave them a distraction for Richarlison to pick up on, though. You know,
Potentially.
the
That's
space.
how Richarlison got in behind for the header. The space was created.
How has Rondon played another full 90 minutes when he should win the ball in the opposing box, because he's absolutely massive, but when crosses are going in, he's nowhere near any of them? Yeah, I feel like we play too wide, and when the balls are getting crossed in, we haven't got people in the right place, or the cross is poor to start with, and we're not getting those chances. Whereas I think I think we're missing an opportunity with pace and like sprinting at them, causing them worry, and we need more direct movement forward and taking the direct shot as opposed to all the crosses which are having poor deliveries in.
We lost that counter-attack though, didn't we? We were kind of playing on second, to try and counter-attack them, but that went out the window fairly quickly. We didn't really offer much of a threat in the second half. Don't think we created much apart from the goal.
Yeah, and I think this point linked to what I was saying before. What I really worry about is the mental aspect in this game. This game really stand out this season, but I can't put my finger on what sparked this. In a game like this, any other game but this, I think our players are just switching off, and obviously I think the crowd isn't helping when every 2 seconds we're booing and but what you can't really expect anything else
think
when we're
because-
losing to Watford, who we should absolutely be dominating, and we've been like ripped to shreds here.
Because we really struggled to build out the back. Like the ball would go from Pickford to the two centre backs, and then beyond that, there was no outlet. Neither of the
This is what I
midfielders were
wrote
dropped
down
deep. They
before
were
the
actually
match.
going further
Thank
to
you for
try
the
and
opportunity to
push
speak
us
to the
up,
press
but they're not going to receive the
before the
ball when
match.
they're isolated by Watford players. And the fullbacks receive the ball and there's no outlet.
Yeah.
So I think that just winds the crowd up, and then it's just a vicious cycle from there.
I feel like we're lacking creativity, which a number 10 would bring. But I mean, when we're taking kickoff, it's always the same ball. We pass from the centre back to Keane, and he launches it up the field. But because Rondon doesn't jump for any ball, and we can't win it, then we lose the ball and it comes straight back down, and that's how we conceded straight away to kickoff. And
Can I say something?
Straight back, sure.
I don't actually think Rondon was the worst of them today. I'm just saying, playing devil's advocate, he actually won quite a few headers. It was a systematic problem. When we tried to play out the back, no one from midfield would drop in to try and support the two central defenders. And there was no outball for them. Davis was hiding, Allen was hiding. So it's left to the two central defenders to try and find a way out. And if no one's making a run in behind, to stretch them or down the channels. Like it did happen in fairness with Gordon a few times, but generally that didn't happen. There's no ball. So it gets pinged out to one of the fullbacks and it goes straight out of play half the time, or it's a very difficult pass where it's, what we would call a hospital pass. So there was no way playing out, and we didn't play through midfield. It was very much like trying to get it down the wings and hope that Gray would drift over to create overloads and then cross it back. But obviously Rondon's nowhere near. It's like he's slower of thought than everyone else.
We're a very static team. There was no.
If we'd have had Josh King, we would have won.
Well, yeah, I know.
I mean, it goes without saying, obviously, but
Gordon had good movement when he was on the pitch, and he would pass the ball with a nice little flick and then run off and create space. Whereas with other players, like we're not creating movement. We're just static, and it's hindering us massively.
We'll go to the comments.
He didn't contribute anything today. It would have been better keeping Gordon.
Wobie comes on at 2-1 and
Richard says, no matter what the manager is, our defenders don't have a midfielder to pass to. There was a lack of movement, but I think it all went wrong really with the third goal that went in. That was really the problem, because that was when we could clearly see that defensively that there was no solidarity. But I don't think there's no.
But the game isn't over at 3-2. That's our chance to kick our shit into gear and be like, right, let's go forward and get.
It was 88 minutes.
This is not a makeshift Everton defence. This is almost pretty much the first choice defence.
For some, that would have been the first choice. I don't think Michael Keane is flavour of the month or flavour of the year.
No,
I think he goes through spells of confidence and looking really poor, and then spells where he looks really assured. But he's never going to be, good enough playing out the back. I think Yerry Mina is the one that everyone wants to see in there, and there's talks that he's going to go because we're not, contract doesn't seem to be progressing or whatever.
He's injured right now.
He's picked up an innocuous injury in training, and he's obviously missed out.
If he's fit, he should come straight back in.
I'm quite honoured. There's a lot of Liverpool fans and people, kiboshing the stream because it just shows you haven't got a lot better to do.
I know.
What's this guy saying?
Well, I think Steve says Keane awful at the moment. That backs up the comment. I think there was a lot of that from the crowd. Is that they like to get on Keane's back. Well, they like, Everton fans do like to get on other people's back. Malcolm says Everton.
No, we've seen that one.
Over in October. Helia says, what I really worry about is the mental aspect in this game. It really stands out this season. Clap my finger on it.
I think
Are these things?
If there's any more comments coming in, I'm just going to pass over to John. I think we're going to wrap up now.
This mentality issue that's just been mentioned in that comment, and the issue mentioned in the previous comment about being able to pass out of defence. These are inherent issues. It's been going on for about 5 years now, if not longer. Every manager we've had, we haven't been able to play out from the back or possession football, and we haven't had a good mentality. We've crumbled in many games. So I don't know whether Rafa's really getting.
I think there's a lot of basics we need to cover before we can actually start doing. We're playing nice football. Where our passing is poor and inaccurate. We're not creating space. We're not moving the ball quick enough, and it gives them a chance to get back. And we need to win the second balls, and the first balls, but we need to actually change our attitude and start winning the second balls, because if you can't control the midfield, you're not going to be anywhere in the game, and you're going to be on the back foot the whole time.
We've got one more comment here from Steve.
What happened to Godfrey? Brilliant when we first signed him. I don't think he was the worst player either on the pitch. I think as a team, I think we were playing as individuals, not a team, and that's where we were really lacking.
Didn't get a
There was
graphic
no
game.
communication between the players except for shouting at each other, and it suffered because they ripped us apart, and our defence was nowhere to be seen.
I think Godfrey at times, though, he struggled to sort of scramble the ball away. It tended to be there, but he didn't deal with it half the time, and it resulted in some of the.
It's very panicky, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's loose possession, and when we do control the ball and we win it back, it's just a loose pass trying to get it forward. There's no midfield options to pass to. We launch the ball up there, lose it, and then they come countering back, and we're not getting back to be able to defend it either.
It's hard to know with Godfrey because he's had that COVID, and to himself he's admitted that it really took it out of him, but he's also said he's getting back to his fitness now, so you'd expect him to get back to those performance levels, and he really has struggled this season.
The reason you play as a team is the 11 people on the pitch are not only putting forward their strengths, but they're there to cover each other's weaknesses. And without any communication, you're letting the weaknesses of each player show, and they're able to capitalize on that. And that's how they moved quickly, and they got through us, and we just shut off.
What do you think about the centre-back situation then? Would you keep those two, or bearing in mind, say Mina was out next game, I'm guessing you'd bring him in if he was fit, but would you consider Holgate, or is that totally out of the question?
I think we do need to have Mina back, and I'd probably give him a start over Michael Keane, because he's going through a very bad run at the moment, and it's costing us dearly. We don't have great squad depth either, so instead of switching out some players, obviously something needs to happen when we get our full strength team back, but we actually need to work on those weaknesses and see where the issues are, as opposed to just keep replacing players.
We won't get away with that at Wolves because Raul Jimenez will just dominate in the air.
Yeah,
and Traore. We need Mina back in there. They'll win flick-offs, they'll have Podence and Traore running onto it. It'll cause us havoc. We have to get control of that. We'll be
dominated. Very disappointing game. Obviously, everyone heard all the boos at the end of the game, showing how everyone feels.
Let's see.
So to wrap up, we need to win the second balls. We need to change our attitude from being so negative. I know it's difficult, but the players need to actually get back, especially when they commit themselves so high up the pitch. And what do you think, David? Wrap up comments.
Yeah, we just need to show some fight. Where was the fight that's missing on the first 4 or 5 games of the season? It should be there, and it's not. Okay, so to summarise, Everton have been defeated here at Goodison today, 5-2. Thank you for all your comments coming in. Of course, we'll have more reaction from the match, and we'll be previewing the match a week on Monday, where Everton go to Wolves. Don't forget to link and subscribe and push the word out for Follow Everton. If you still feel inclined to do follow Everton and follow our good team. Now, thank you for everyone's contributions today, and I hope that you have an enjoyable rest of the weekend. From all us here, the team at Follow Everton, we wish you good night.